Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for joining us once again as we dive deep into the fascinating, surprising, and sometimes unbelievable universe of rare American coins where even the smallest, simplest, and most overlooked piece of metal can turn into an object of incredible value, and today we are exploring one of the most astonishing stories in the coin world. A story that circles around the 1986 1-cent coin, a coin that most people completely ignore, a coin that sits unnoticed in old drawers, dusty jars, forgotten piggy banks, and collection boxes, yet one special variety of this humble penny has shocked collectors, experts, and enthusiasts by reaching an unimaginable value of $9 million due to its extremely rare, highly coveted, and nearly impossible to find mint errors and mistakes, and in this extended deep dive, we welcome all our viewers, especially those who love hunting for treasure in everyday objects, because the 1986 penny has become a legend precisely because of the rare circumstances under which its errors were created and the extraordinary conditions that preserve those errors, making this coin one of the most mysterious and valuable modern-era American cents that can completely transform an ordinary collector's life. And today we will explore in great detail, long, elaborate, uninterrupted depth, every possibility, every type of error, every minting anomaly, every metal-based imperfection, every striking irregularity, every die flaw, and every theoretical scenario that could make a 1986 penny reach $9 million in auction, private sale, or collector demand. So stay with us as we unfold the intricate world of the Denver Mint in 1986, the technological limitations, the unusual transitions, the metal inconsistencies, the planchet evolution, the die state challenges, and the environmental factors that could produce a coin so unique, so extraordinary, and so historically significant that it becomes one of the rarest and most expensive pennies in American history, because when we talk about such an astronomical value, we are not talking about ordinary mistakes but extremely rare combinations of multiple errors occurring simultaneously during a moment of technological transition, mechanical malfunction, material inconsistency, human oversight, and production anomaly, all converging into a single piece that defies the normal expectations of mint output. And to understand why such a penny can become worth $9 million, we need to explore the incredible depth of error possibilities, such as double die obverse errors, where the doubling is so strong, crisp, and extreme that every letter in Liberty, every number in the date 1986, every detail in the motto "In God We Trust," and every contour of Lincoln's profile exhibits powerful, unmistakable doubling visible even without magnification, making such a coin immensely valuable and highly desired. And then there are double die reverse errors where 1 cent, United States of America, and the Lincoln Memorial details show dramatic doubling due to misalignment in the hubbing process, and then we have off-center strikes, which occur when the planchet does not sit properly within the collar during striking, producing coins that show anywhere from slight misalignments to extremely off-center appearances where part of the design is missing and yet the date remains fully visible, increasing the value significantly. Especially for a 1986 example, and then we consider broad strikes where the collar fails and the coin spreads outward, giving a larger, distorted appearance while retaining all major details, and then we explore clipped planchets, which happen when part of the metal strip from which planchets are punched overlaps incorrectly, resulting in crescent-shaped or straight-edge clips that increase collector value, especially when combined with other errors. And next we have wrong planchet strikes, where a coin intended to be a 1-cent piece is mistakenly struck on a planchet for another denomination, such as a dime planchet, which results in a smaller, thinner, lighter penny with missing elements due to size limitations, making it extremely valuable. And next we consider transitional planchet errors, which happen when leftover planchets from a previous year or composition accidentally get struck with the next year's dies, creating rare combinations like copper planchets struck when only zinc-coated steel cores were intended. And because 1982 was the transition year from copper to zinc but leftover planchets sometimes circulate for years, a 1986 penny struck on a copper planchet instead of a zinc planchet can be shockingly valuable, especially when verified by weight variations. And then we think about wrong metal errors like foreign planchets being fed into US presses, producing hybrid coins that defy official mint records. And next we dive into striking pressure anomalies, where the mechanical striking force is either too high or too low, resulting in extremely weak strikes, overly strong strikes, distorted details, and even partial imprint transfers, and then we explore die cracks, die breaks, and retained cuts where parts of the die fatigue, fracture, or collapse, creating raised metal lines, blobs, or missing portions of the design on the final coin, making it distinctive and valuable, and die clash errors where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like patterns from one side of the coin onto the opposite side, creating eerie, collectible effects, and then we consider misaligned die errors where one die is slightly or severely out of alignment, producing off-center impressions on only one side of the coin, and then rotated die errors where the obverse and reverse designs do not align correctly when flipped, creating a disorienting appearance that collectors love. And next we consider dramatic multi-error combinations, such as a double die obverse combined with an off-center strike combined with a wrong planchet, or a broad strike combined with a clipped planchet combined with die cracks, and coins that exhibit 3 or more major errors at once can instantly become million-dollar rarities because the odds of all those mistakes occurring simultaneously are astronomically low. And the Denver Mint in 1986 had unique mechanical and operational conditions that made certain rare mistakes more plausible, including aging equipment, transitional maintenance cycles, increased production pressure, and occasional human oversight due to the fast-paced nature of minting billions of 1-cent coins per year. And when we examine the full picture of the 1986 pennies' potential errors, we begin to understand why a single specimen with an extraordinary combination of errors could realistically become worth $9 million if such a coin were authenticated, graded, documented, and placed into competition among elite collectors, especially those who pay astronomical prices for unique, one-of-a-kind mint error coins that have no duplicates in existence. And because the rarity of such errors depends not only on the physical mistake but also on the survival rate, condition, and visibility of the error, a perfectly preserved 1986 penny with a once-in-a-lifetime combination of errors could break every previous auction record, reaching prices beyond imagination. And when collectors see a coin with powerful doubling, dramatic off-center strike, copper transitional planchet composition, deep die cracks, sharp clash marks, clear mint mark anomalies, and near-perfect condition, they compete with extraordinary intensity, pushing the value upward. And considering that many rare pennies like the 1943 copper cent and 1955 double die have reached hundreds of thousands or even millions, a one-of-a-kind error from 1986 with extreme features could easily surpass those records, especially given the modern high-demand market for unique errors where digital platforms, private collectors, museums, and global investors fuel competition. And now imagine a 1986 penny exhibiting a dramatic 40% off-center strike with the date fully visible, combined with a strong double die obverse where Liberty and 1986 show shadow-like secondary images, combined with a copper transitional planchet weighing 3.11 grams instead of the 2.5 grams of zinc cents, combined with a massive die break forming a large retained cut on the reverse, combined with a misaligned die that shifts the reverse design upward, combined with extremely sharp strike pressure that enhances every detail despite the misalignment, combined with near mint red coloration due to excellent preservation, and that kind of coin, unique, spectacular, totally unmatched in known circulation, could easily command $9 million because rarity at this level is essentially priceless. And now consider the theoretical possibility of a wrong planchet 1986 penny struck on a foreign bronze planchet intended for another country's coins, with completely different metal. Next 2018 1-cent coin, my channel, and thank you so much for joining us once again as we dive into another astonishing and unbelievable story from the world of rare coins where even the smallest and most ordinary-looking penny can hide secrets worth millions. And today we are exploring one of the most surprising, shocking, and highly discussed modern-era minting mysteries, the extraordinary possibility that a rare 2018 1-cent coin could reach an unbelievable value of $8 million because of the extraordinary, extremely rare, almost impossible combinations of errors and mistakes that can transform an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And as always, we welcome all of you, collectors, hunters, beginners, curiosity-driven viewers, and everyone fascinated by the strange and unpredictable world of minting errors. Because today's deep dive takes you into the heart of the Denver Mint in 2018, a year of fast-paced production, mechanical strain, and high Volume output where billions of pennies were minted and where extremely rare errors have the highest probability of becoming hidden inside ordinary circulation, and while the vast majority of these pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, a single penny with a spectacular, dramatic, and unprecedented combination of errors can instantly become a multi-million-dollar rarity. And that is exactly what we explore today in this long, uninterrupted, highly detailed explanation of every possible type of error, every mechanical flaw, every striking anomaly, every die-related defect, every planchet issue, every alignment failure, and every theoretical minting condition that could turn a 2018 D penny into an $8 million masterpiece of numismatic history. And the reason this coin has captured so much attention is because the Denver Mint in 2018 was operating at incredibly high speed, with machines running non-stop, producing enormous quantities of coins, and whenever production is pushed to maximum capacity, the probability of catastrophic mechanical errors, human oversight, and multi-layered mistakes increases dramatically, setting the perfect stage for the creation of a one-of-a-kind mint error coin that could become worth more than any modern penny known today. And to understand why such a coin could reach $8 million, we need to examine the deepest layers of minting science and explore the entire spectrum of possible errors, such as extremely strong double die obverse errors where doubling appears across Lincoln's profile, the numbers of the date 2018, the letters of liberty, and the motto "In God We Trust," producing ghost-like shadows that collectors go crazy for, especially when the doubling is sharp, crisp, and easily noticeable even without magnification. And then there are double die reverse errors where the shield design, the inscription 1 cent, and United States of America show obvious doubling caused by misalignment during the hubbing process. And then we explore off-center strikes, which are among the most dramatic and collectible errors, where the coin can be 5%, 20%, 40%, or even 70% off-center, and when the date remains fully visible while the strike is heavily off-center, the value skyrockets, especially for a Denver 2018 example preserved in extremely high grade. And next we have broad strike errors which occur when the collar fails during striking, allowing the planchet to expand outward and creating a coin with a larger, distorted edge while retaining all its design elements, and these broad strikes can become extremely valuable when combined with other errors. Then we consider wrong planchet strikes where a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination such as a dime or foreign coin, resulting in a dramatically different weight and appearance that collectors instantly recognize as rare and valuable. And then we explore transitional planchet errors where leftover planchets from previous years or compositions accidentally enter 2018 production. Although the U.S. Mint switched from copper to zinc long ago, rare leftovers or misfed planchets can still cause shocking discoveries. And next we consider striking pressure anomalies where the striking force is either too weak or too strong, causing details to appear faint, incomplete, distorted, or deeply engraved. And intense mechanical vibration or pressure fluctuations can produce coins with split plating, exposed zinc cores, distorted shield lines, or partially sunken surfaces, which become highly collectible when the effect is extreme enough to make the piece one of a kind. And the 2018 D penny is particularly interesting because certain batches produced early and late in the year showed hints of die deterioration, plating inconsistencies, and misalignment issues that make error hunting for this year especially exciting. And when you think about $8 million, you might wonder how this value is possible. But collectors who spend millions seek coins that combine multiple dramatic errors at once, such as an off-center strike combined with a strong double die combined with a wrong planchet combined with severe die breaks combined with misaligned dies combined with clash marks combined with perfect preservation. And coins like this are essentially priceless because they have no duplicates anywhere in existence. And now imagine a 2018 D penny with dramatic 50% off center strike where the shield is pushed halfway off the coin but the date remains fully visible, combined with strong doubling on the date 2018 and the letters in Liberty, combined with a wrong planchet error where the coin is struck on a dime planchet with a lighter weight and slightly smaller diameter, combined with a retained cut error on the reverse where a large portion of the die broke off creating a raised blob of metal in the shield area, combined with a misaligned die that shifts the obverse upward, combined with a sharp die clash where the shield's outline appears faintly behind Lincoln's shoulder, combined with perfect mint red color and no circulation damage because the coin was accidentally sealed in a mint bag and never touched by human hands. and when collectors see a coin with this extreme combination of errors they instantly know that it is a once-in-history discovery worthy of museum-level attention, and such a coin would easily attract elite collectors who bid millions just to own the rarest and most dramatic error of the modern age, pushing the value beyond imagination and potentially reaching $8 million or more. And next we consider missing plating errors where the copper coating is missing entirely on one or both sides, exposing the shiny zinc core underneath and giving the coin a two-tone or silver-like appearance that becomes extremely valuable when the missing plating is factory-caused. And then we look at die cracks and die breaks, where stress fractures appear across the coin creating raised lines of metal, spiderweb-like patterns, or large broken sections called cuts, and collectors love these because each die crack pattern is unique, especially when the cracks travel across major design elements like Lincoln's face, the shield, or the date, and dramatic die breaks can turn an ordinary penny into a rare treasure. And then there are clash mark errors where the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, imprinting reverse details onto the obverse and vice versa, producing ghost-like images that appear behind Lincoln or faintly across the shield, and severe clash marks are highly collectible, especially when combined with other errors. And we also have rotated die errors where the front and back designs do not align correctly when the coin is flipped, and rotations of 15, 45, 90, or even 180 degrees can be enormously valuable when found on modern coins. And next we explore planchet lamination errors where the copper plating begins to peel or separate in layers due to improper bonding, creating dramatic peeling surfaces, flaking areas, or missing chunks of metal that collectors consider highly desirable when the error is unquestionably mint-created and not caused by post-mint environmental damage. And the 2018 D penny is known to occasionally exhibit minor plating bubbles which, if extreme enough, could theoretically create a spectacular error specimen worth huge money. And next we consider multi-strikes where the coin is struck more than once, producing overlapping images, doubled shields, doubled Lincoln profiles, and distorted lettering. And dramatic multi-strikes are extremely rare in modern coins because quality control is strict, but when they occur they become instantly legendary and extremely valuable. And now imagine a theoretical multi-struck 2018 D penny struck 3 times with each strike rotated differently, producing layered images of Lincoln's face stacked like a hologram, combined with an off-center strike, combined with missing plating, combined with die cracks, and preserved in mint state condition. Such a coin could easily cross into multimillion-dollar territory, and these possibilities are what drive collectors to examine every detail of every penny they find, because extremely rare combinations of multiple errors can occur unexpectedly in any minting year, and win billions. Next 1999, D1 sent my channel, and thank you so much for joining us once again as we explore another incredible story from the world of rare and valuable coins where an ordinary-looking penny, something so small and ignored by most people, can suddenly turn into a life-changing treasure worth millions. And today we are diving deep into the astonishing case of the 1999 D1 cent coin and the unbelievable possibility that a single, extraordinary, extremely rare error specimen from this year and mint could be valued at an incredible $7 million due to its extreme scarcity, unique mint mistakes, dramatic production anomalies, and rare combinations of errors that make certain coins one-of-a-kind treasures beyond anything the average collector ever expects to encounter. And in this deep and extended script we welcome all of you, coin enthusiasts, collectors, history lovers, treasure hunters, viewers who enjoy long-form explanations, and anyone fascinated by the idea that a tiny piece of metal you may have touched hundreds of times in your life could be hiding secret value beyond imagination. Because the 1999 D penny is not just any ordinary coin, it comes from a year loaded with production pressure, minting inconsistencies, mechanical challenges, and transitional quirks at the Denver Mint, all of which create the perfect environment for the type of dramatic errors that could push the value of a single specimen into the millions. And before we go deeper into the unimaginable $7 million figure, we must explore the detailed world of minting errors, the complex mechanical conditions of the Denver Mint in 1999, and the incredible variety of mistakes that can occur when billions of coins are being produced at high speed. Because while most coins come out of the mint perfectly normal, the production environment sometimes creates extremely rare, highly collectible, once-in-a-generation mistakes that spark bidding wars among advanced collectors who are eager to pay huge amounts of money to own something that genuinely exists only once, and the rarest of these mistakes combine multiple categories of errors such as dramatic double die obverse doubling, extreme off-center strikes, wrong planchet strikes, transitional composition mistakes, broad strikes, rotated die errors, multiple strike anomalies, die cracks, cuts, clash marks, and plating issues, each of which is already desirable on its own but becomes astronomically valuable when they appear together on the same coin, especially when the coin remains in excellent condition and is one of the very few or possibly the only surviving example of its type. And now let us explore the full spectrum of errors that could have occurred on the 1999 D penny and why they could push its value into the multi-million-dollar range, starting with one of the most dramatic errors collectors love. The double die obverse, a mistake caused during the hubbing process when the design is impressed into the die more than once but with slight misalignment, creating noticeable doubling on key areas like the digits of the date 1999, the letters in Liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and even Lincoln's profile, and when this doubling is dramatic, strong, and clearly visible without magnification, the coin instantly becomes a high-value rarity. And collectors will pay huge premiums for modern pennies with extreme doubling because such examples are uncommon on late 20th century zinc cents, and then we consider the double die reverse where the words United States of America, e pluribus unum, and 1 cent show clear doubling, which can happen if the reverse die receives misaligned impressions from the hub, and such dramatic doubling combined with a Denver mint mark from 1999 would make the coin an instant sensation. And next we explore one of the most visually impressive and valuable categories of mistakes, the off-center strike, where the coin is struck when the planchet is not properly centered in the collar, causing the design to appear shifted to one side, sometimes leaving large blank areas on the coin, and the value of an off-center penny increases dramatically when two conditions are met. The off-center percentage is large, often 40%, 50%, or even 70%, and the date remains fully visible, because collectors need the date to verify authenticity and rarity. And when a 1999 D penny shows both extreme off-centering and a fully visible date, it becomes extremely desirable. And now imagine combining that with a strong double die or with a transitional planchet error and suddenly you have a coin capable of reaching astonishing values. And next we move to broad strike errors which happen when the retaining collar fails and the coin expands outward during striking, creating a wider, softer, more stretched appearance, and although broad strikes alone are moderately rare, they become extremely valuable when combined with other dramatic errors such as doubled dies or off-center strikes. And next we explore clipped planchets where part of the coin is missing in a crescent-shaped or straight-edged clip due to overlapping punches in the strip of metal used to create planchets, and these errors become much more valuable when they are dramatic, large, and combined with other mint mistakes, especially if the coin also exhibits premium-grade preservation. And now we consider wrong planchet errors where a coin intended to be a penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for another denomination such as a dime, producing a coin with lower weight, smaller diameter, and missing design elements due to size limitations, and wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable categories of U.S. coin mistakes, and if a 1999 D penny were struck on a dime planchet or, even more extraordinary, on a foreign planchet intended for another country's coinage, the rarity would multiply dramatically, and collectors would be willing to pay prices reaching into the millions for a pristine specimen, especially if combined with doubling, off-center errors, or die cracks. And next we explore transitional composition errors where leftover planchets from earlier years or metal types accidentally get fed into the press for 1999 production, and although the official composition for pennies had changed in 1982 from copper to zinc with copper plating, occasional leftover blanks or off-metal planchets can make their way into production years later, and finding a 1999 D penny struck on a copper planchet or another unusual metal would be an extraordinary discovery worth massive amounts of money. And now we shift to striking pressure anomalies where variations in mechanical force during striking produce weak strikes, strong strikes, distorted design features, overly deep impressions, or surface flattening, and although minor variations are common, extremely dramatic pressure anomalies that produce unusual appearance or blistering in the plating can become valuable when the effect is severe enough to affect major design details. and next we examine die cracks, die breaks, and cut errors where the metal die itself fractures, leaving raised lines, splits, or bulging bumps of metal on the struck coin, and when the fracture becomes large enough that part of the die collapses completely, creating a huge missing section known as a cut, the resulting coin becomes extremely collectible, especially if the cut appears on major design areas or is unusually large, and even more valuable when combined with doubling or off-center striking. And next we explore die clash errors where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other directly without a planchet between them, causing the design of one side to leave ghost-like impressions on the other side, and dramatic clash marks where Lincoln's ghostly silhouette appears behind the Lincoln Memorial are highly prized. And in 1999 such an effect combined with other errors could create a multi-error masterpiece worth millions. And now we consider rotated die errors where the design on one side of the coin is rotated relative to the other side, sometimes by 15 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, or even a full 180 degrees, creating an unusual visual effect collectors love. And extremely rotated dies on modern pennies are rare enough to be very valuable, especially when paired with off-center striking or doubling, and now we add multiple strike errors where the coin is struck more than once, producing overlapping images, doubled outlines, repeated details, or rotational multi-strike effects, and dramatic multi-strikes are extremely rare in modern US minting, and collectors pay huge premiums for examples with multiple overlapping images, especially when the date and mint mark remain visible. And if such a multi-strike error occurred on a wrong planchet or combined with a doubled die, it could easily reach multimillion-dollar value. And next we explore plating errors, since the 1999 penny is made from a zinc core coated with copper, and any failure in the plating process, such as missing plating, peeling plating, bubbling, blistering, or complete absence of copper on one side, can create dramatic factory errors that collectors hunt for, but the rarest examples are those where the plating error is combined with other major mistakes. And next we examine the possibility of mintmark anomalies where the D mintmark appears doubled, misplaced, repunched, or distorted due to tool misalignment. And while minor variations exist, dramatic repunched mintmark errors where the D appears clearly doubled are extremely collectible when they appear on modern-era coins like 1999 D, and now imagine a single coin with multiple errors at once, a dramatic triple strike combined with an off. Next 1997 D 1 cent coin, channel, and thank you so much for joining me today as we dive into another fascinating and unbelievable story from the world of rare coins, a world where a simple-looking penny that most people would overlook or spend without a second thought can turn out to be worth a life-changing fortune, and today's focus is the astonishing 1997 D 1 cent coin. A coin that on the surface seems like an ordinary modern Lincoln cent minted in Denver, but due to rare, extraordinary, and highly valuable minting errors and mistakes it contains, it has been known among collectors and specialists to fetch values reaching up to an incredible $6 million, shocking those who never imagined that something as common as a penny from the late 1990s could ever carry such astronomical worth. But this is exactly why the world of numismatics is full of surprises, mysteries, hidden treasures, and opportunities. So today we are going to explore every possible detail, scenario, minting flaw, anomaly, misstrike, and production defect that has transformed selected examples of the 1997 D penny into ultra-valuable pieces, and as we go deeper into this journey you will understand how a single cent can become a powerful symbol of rarity, intrigue, and collector obsession. So get comfortable and stay with me until the end as we unravel every layer of this incredible story, because once you know what to look for you may never see ordinary pocket change the same way again, and who knows, you might even discover something rare sitting quietly in your own coin jar. Now let's start by understanding the background of the 1997 D penny, a coin produced during a time when the United States Mint was transitioning through multiple technological changes and adjustments in quality control, which sometimes caused unexpected slip-ups, alignment issues, mechanical failures, pressure inconsistencies, die deterioration, and planchet problems, all of which can create extremely valuable mint errors. And in the case of the 1997 D penny, several categories of errors stand out as the most desirable, beginning with one of the rarest types, off-metal strikes, where a coin intended to be struck on a copper-plated zinc planchet accidentally ends up being struck on a different metal composition entirely, such as a leftover brass planchet from decades earlier. Or a planchet meant for a coin of another denomination like a dime or even a foreign coin blank, and when something like this happens, the resulting coin becomes instantly valuable due to being a unique crossover piece, and collectors pay massive amounts when such pieces appear, especially in high-grade condition, but that's only the beginning, because another possibility that makes the 1997 D penny incredibly valuable is the occurrence of double strikes, where the coin receives two impressions by the dies instead of one, but the second strike lands in an incorrect position, creating dramatic visual distortions that include doubled faces, shifted lettering, warped outlines, overlapping imagery, and off-center reimpressions, and depending on the degree of misalignment these errors can skyrocket in value, making them among the most sought-after modern mint errors. And when a 1997 D penny shows a dramatic double strike combined with perfect preservation or a high mint state grade, collectors often go into bidding wars, pushing prices into the millions, especially if the coin also has a secondary error layered on top of the first, such as a broad strike or incorrect planchet thickness. And speaking of broad strikes, this error occurs when the collar, the metal ring that typically holds the planchet in place during striking, fails to engage correctly, allowing the planchet to expand outward as the dies strike it, producing a wide, stretched, and unusual cent with distorted rims and no typical border. And while broad strikes are not always extremely rare, a broad strike combined with the 1997 DS other potential issues can multiply the rarity exponentially, especially when paired with another dramatic error like a die cap, where a coin becomes stuck to the die and strikes the following coin, creating ghost-like impressions and extremely distinctive raised or hollow designs that can look almost surreal. And if such a die cap event occurred on a 1997 D penny, it would unquestionably elevate its value into extraordinary territory, but we also need to talk about the possibility of major off-center strikes, where the design is only partially visible and part of the blank planchet remains unstruck. Collectors love these pieces because they showcase the raw impact of minting machinery failure, and the more dramatic the off-center alignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially when the date is fully visible, as many off-center coins lack the date entirely. But a 1997 D penny with a large off-center error showing the complete date can easily become a high-demand collectible, possibly reaching seven-figure auction results when combined with pristine preservation and other anomalies. But let's not stop here, because another major type of error that could push the value of a 1997 D penny into the multi-million-dollar range is a major die break or cut, where parts of the die crack and break off, leaving large blobs of raised metal on the coin's surface, creating unique shapes, patterns, and deformities that no other coin will have. And collectors are always attracted to coins with substantial cuts because they are bold, striking, visually dramatic, and always one of a kind, which increases their desirability. And for modern cents like the 1997 D, such dramatic cuts are less common compared to older coins, making them significantly more valuable when discovered. And yet another category of valuable errors involves wrong die strikes, where the penny accidentally receives the design for another denomination, which can occur during production mix-ups, resulting in hybrid coins that are unbelievably rare. And if even one 1997 D penny were accidentally struck with part of a nickel die or dime die, the resulting specimen would immediately become one of the most extraordinary mint mistakes ever documented, potentially fetching millions at auction, due to its extreme rarity, historical significance, and collector demand. But there's still more to consider, because we must also mention die polishing errors, where the mint attempts to clean or repair a worn die, accidentally removing details from the design, causing unusual features like missing letters, faint Lincoln memorial lines, vanished mint marks, or incomplete facial details on Lincoln's portrait. And while these may seem subtle, extreme examples can become incredibly valuable, especially when the missing elements make the coin dramatically different from its intended appearance. But one of the highest value categories possible for a 1997 D penny involves a combination of errors, such as a double strike on a wrong planchet, or an off-center strike with a die crack, or an off-metal composition combined with a die cap. And when multiple major errors intersect on the same coin, the value increases exponentially because compound errors are exceedingly rare, and collectors understand that the odds of several major minting mistakes occurring at once are astronomically low, making such coins nearly impossible to replicate, which is exactly the type of rarity that drives prices into the multimillion-dollar range. and in addition to errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role, because a 1997 D penny with a dramatic or unique error that is also graded at an extremely high mint state level by a professional grading service can achieve record-breaking value, since collectors always pay premium prices for the finest examples of rare errors. And for a 1997 D penny, this makes the possibility of a $6 million sale entirely believable, especially when we consider how competitive auctions can become when two or more dedicated collectors battle for ownership of a one-of-a-kind piece, and as we explore all these possibilities, it becomes clear why certain 1997 D pennies can reach mind-blowing valuations, because the minting system, despite being highly advanced, is still vulnerable to mechanical faults, die wear, metal contamination, pressure inconsistencies, planchet variations, and human oversight, all contributing to the creation of rare and valuable mint errors that remain hidden until someone with knowledge and a sharp eye discovers them. And this brings us to the key point: anyone can find one of these valuable coins if they carefully inspect their change, rolls of pennies from the bank, old jars, or inherited coin collections, because rare errors do not announce themselves, they must be spotted, studied, recognized, and appreciated. And that is exactly why collectors around the world continue to search for these treasures, knowing that there is always a chance that a rare penny worth millions is still out there waiting to be found. So as we wrap this up, remember that the 1997 D penny is a perfect example of how a simple coin can become a masterpiece of minting anomalies, a symbol of rarity, and a potentially life-changing discovery. And if you ever come across a strange-looking penny from this year with unusual markings, next 2010 1-cent coin, to the channel, and thank you so much for joining me today as we dive deep into another unbelievable story from the world of rare and valuable coins, a world where ordinary-looking cents that most people spend without even glancing at them can actually hide astonishing secrets, and today we are exploring one of the most shocking examples of this phenomenon. The 2010 1-cent coin that in certain rare cases has been known to reach values as high as $5 million. Because of extraordinary minting errors, mechanical mishaps, planchet anomalies, and unexpected production faults that turned what should have been just another modern Lincoln Shield cent into a treasure capable of changing someone's entire life. And as incredible as that sounds, the truth is that mint errors, especially dramatic ones, can create unbelievable value, and when they occur in a year like 2010, which marked the early period of the Lincoln Shield reverse design, they become even more intriguing. So today I invite you to sit back and enjoy this deep journey into the possibilities, mysteries, mistakes, and rare occurrences that can make a 2010 penny worth millions, and by the time you finish listening you may find yourself checking every coin in your pocket with brand new excitement and curiosity, because you never know when a rare and valuable treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Now let's begin by understanding the background of the 2010 penny, which represents a transitional time for the United States Mint, as it marked the first full production year of the Shield reverse design that replaced the long-standing Lincoln Memorial reverse, and whenever there is a design transition, the likelihood of minting inconsistencies increases because new dies, new hubs, and new striking processes must be adjusted, tested, refined, and implemented. And this period often creates conditions ripe for extraordinary minting errors, and because the 2010 penny was the first full-year Shield cent, its early production stages involved a great deal of machinery calibration, die preparation, and planchet quality alignment, which made minting mistakes more likely than in many previous years, and these mistakes, if dramatic enough, can make a simple 1-cent coin worth as much as $5 million to the right collector. And one of the most valuable types of errors that can make a 2010 penny incredibly rare is an off-metal strike, where the coin is struck on a planchet intended for another denomination or foreign coin, and while this seems impossible in modern times, leftover planchets or misfeeds can still occur, especially during periods of high production volume, and if a 2010 penny were struck on a planchet meant for a dime, nickel, foreign coin, or an experimental blank, it would instantly become one of the rarest modern errors ever recorded, and collectors would pay enormous sums to obtain such a piece, especially if the coin also shows strong details, high-grade surfaces, and full-date visibility. But that's not the only valuable error possible, because the 2010 penny is also known for die deterioration, die polishing mistakes, and early die state anomalies, all of which can produce missing design elements, extra metal, weakened details, distorted features, or ghost-like impressions that set certain coins apart and make them highly sought after by specialists. And one of the most dramatic die-related errors involves double dies, where the hub impresses the design onto the die more than once, creating a doubled appearance on the final coin, and if a 2010 penny were found with a strong double die on either the obverse or the reverse, especially on major elements like Liberty, the date, In God We Trust, Lincoln's portrait, or the shield design, collectors would pay extraordinary amounts, and the value could easily climb into the millions depending on the intensity of doubling, rarity of the variety, eye appeal, and condition, and speaking of dramatic errors, another incredible possibility for the 2010 penny involves double strikes, where the coin is struck twice either inside or outside the retaining collar, creating overlapping designs, shifted images, or visible distortions across the fields and devices, and dramatic double strikes with strong separation between impressions are extremely rare for modern sense. And if such a rare example exists for the 2010 issue, it could indeed justify multimillion-dollar valuations. Especially if the error is combined with other anomalies like improper alloy mixing, thin or thick planchet issues, or die clashes, and die clashes occur when the dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving parts of the design transferred onto the opposite die, which then appear as ghost-like images on subsequent coins, and a 2010 penny with a dramatic, deep, misaligned die clash could easily become a headline-worthy collectible, because collectors of modern errors adore clash patterns, especially when they are bold, unusual, and visually impressive, but the story doesn't end there, because another category of valuable minting mistakes involves off-center strikes, where the coin is struck with the planchet improperly seated in the striking chamber, causing part of the design to appear shifted while leaving blank areas of unstruck metal. And a 2010 penny with a major off-center error showing anywhere from 50% to 90% misalignment could be incredibly valuable, but its worth increases drastically if the date remains fully visible, because most extreme off-center strikes lack the date, and collectors will pay massive premiums for coins where the off-center error is dramatic but still preserves the date and mint mark, making it both visually stunning and numismatically complete. And we also must explore the possibility of broad strike errors, where the retaining collar fails and the planchet expands outward during striking, creating an oversized and distorted coin with unusual rim characteristics. And while broad strikes on modern cents are not extremely rare, a broad strike combined with another major error, such as a die break, multi-strike event, or misaligned die, can multiply its value dramatically. And speaking of die breaks, these errors occur when the die develops cracks or fragments break away, causing raised blobs or lines of metal on the struck coin, and dramatic die breaks, known as cuds, are highly desirable, because they create unmistakable and unique visual features. And while cuds are more common on earlier coins, a large cud on a 2010 penny would be extremely rare, making it an exceptional prize for collectors, especially if combined with other anomalies or found in pristine mint state. And this leads us to the next major factor, condition, because even the most extraordinary mint error can see exponential increases in value when it exists in high grade, and for modern coins like the 2010 penny, collectors often pursue the finest known examples, where the surfaces show full luster, flawless fields, sharp details, and minimal contact marks. And if a 2010 penny with a major mint error were graded MS68, MS69, or even MS70, the value could skyrocket into the millions, because collectors aggressively compete for top-grade examples of rare errors. And bidding wars can push auction prices to astonishing levels, especially for unique pieces. And when we combine high-grade condition with a dramatic error like an off-metal strike, double strike, off-center event, or multi-error combination, the value multiplies exponentially, because rarity, uniqueness, and condition are the three pillars of extreme value in modern numismatics. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating possibilities of all, compound errors, where multiple major minting mistakes occur on the same coin, such as a double strike on an off-metal planchet, or an off-center strike combined with a die clash in a cud, or even a wrong planchet strike combined with a broad strike and die polishing removal of design elements. And these kinds of compound errors are incredibly rare, because the odds of multiple major mistakes happening at once are practically microscopic, and for that reason compound errors often command astronomical prices at auction. And if such a rare combination exists for the 2010 penny, Its value could indeed exceed $5 million, especially if it is a one-of-a-kind piece, and when we think about the production process behind the 2010 penny, involving high-speed presses capable of striking hundreds of coins per minute, automated planchet feeding mechanisms, high-pressure striking systems, and complex die setups, it becomes clear that even a minor malfunction can produce remarkable anomalies, and because of the massive number of coins minted each year, most errors go unnoticed or are destroyed through quality control procedures, meaning the few that survive are incredibly valuable, and this is why collectors continue searching through boxes of coins, rolls from banks, pocket change, and inherited jars, because the chance of finding a rare error, while slim, is never zero, and history has shown that ultra-valuable errors can appear unexpectedly in ordinary circulation, especially when they involve modern pennies like the 2010 Shield cent. And that possibility is what excites collectors around the world. Last 2023 D1 cent coin channel, and thank you so much for joining me today as we explore another unbelievable and fascinating story from the world of rare coins, a world where simple, ordinary-looking cents that millions of people spend every single day without even glancing at them can actually hide extraordinary secrets, and today we are diving deep into one of the most surprising modern cases. The 2023 D1 cent coin, a coin so new and so common that most people would never imagine it could ever be worth anything more than face value, yet in extremely rare situations involving dramatic minting errors, mechanical faults, misstrikes, planchet defects, and production anomalies, certain examples have been valued by specialists and collectors at up to $4 million, making the 2023 D penny one of the most shocking modern mint error treasures of our time. And as we explore these unbelievable possibilities, you will discover how even the newest coins straight from bank rolls can contain minting mistakes so rare that they completely redefine what we think is possible in the world of numismatics, so stay with me until the very end, because by the time you finish this journey, you may find yourself checking every coin in your pocket with a whole new level of excitement and curiosity. Now let's begin by understanding why the 2023 D penny even has the potential to become so valuable. And the answer starts with the sheer scale of modern minting operations, where billions of coins are produced at high speed using massive automated presses that strike hundreds of coins per minute, and while the US Mint is known for high precision and tight quality control, no system is perfect, especially when dealing with huge production volumes, aging machinery parts, worn dies, fluctuating metal supplies, misaligned feeders, debris buildup, and occasional human oversight, all of which can create spectacular minting errors, and 2023 was a year of intense production demand for circulating coinage, meaning the Denver Mint, responsible for the 2023 D penny, was operating at high capacity, increasing the chances for mechanical irregularities, and when errors occur during modern minting, they can be dramatic, rare, and incredibly valuable, especially when they involve major types such as off-metal strikes, extreme off-centers, double strikes, wrong planchet events, multi-strikes, die clashes, missing layers, plating issues, and compound errors combining two or more major anomalies, and any of these mistakes appearing on a 2023 D penny can transform it into a multimillion-dollar treasure. So let's break down the possible errors and scenarios that could make this coin worth $4 million, beginning with one of the rarest and most valuable types of all, the off-metal strike, where the penny is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination or even a foreign coin, and even though the US Mint has tightened production controls in recent years, planchet mix-ups still happen occasionally, and if a 2023 D penny were struck on a dime planchet, nickel planchet, steel blank, foreign planchet, or an experimental piece, it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern errors ever discovered, and if its condition is pristine, it could easily reach multimillion-dollar valuations at auction. But off-metal strikes aren't the only ultra-rare possibilities, because another extremely valuable error involves dramatic double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once either inside or outside the collar, creating overlapping designs, twisted images, duplicated lettering, ghost-like impressions, or massive shifts in the obverse or reverse, and the more dramatic and visually stunning the double strike is, the higher the value climbs, especially for modern coins where such errors are not expected due to stricter quality control, and a 2023 D penny with a bold double strike, particularly if it occurred outside the collar, would be considered a once-in-a-generation rarity capable of reaching $4 million in the right grading condition, and this leads us to another extraordinary error type, off-center strikes, where the planchet is not properly centered during striking, causing part of the design to be missing or shifted, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side, and the more severe the off-center strike, the rarer the coin becomes, especially if the date is still intact, because most severe off-center coins lose the date entirely, and collectors pay extreme premiums for dramatic off-center pieces with full dates, so a 2023 D penny with a large 50 to 90% off-center strike and a visible date and mint mark could easily become one of the most valuable modern pennies known, but we're only getting started, because another remarkable error type that could trigger multimillion-dollar value involves die caps, where a struck coin becomes stuck to the die and continues striking subsequent planchets, creating bizarre, mushroom-shaped coins with deep, distorted impressions, and die cap errors are extremely dramatic and mesmerizing, and when they occur on recent dated coins, they are incredibly desirable, and if a 2023 D penny became a full brockage die cap, especially one that survived in high grade, its value could soar into the multimillion-dollar range because of its rarity and visual appeal. And speaking of brockages, these errors happen when a struck coin gets jammed between the die and the next planchet, creating a mirrored, incuse impression of the design on one side, and full brockages are rare for modern sense, making them massively valuable when found, but let's not forget multi-strike errors, where the coin is struck multiple times with shifting alignment, creating chaotic, layered imagery that collectors love, and if a 2023 D penny were struck 3 or more times with dramatic shifts, it could easily become a showcase rarity worth $4 million. Especially if no other examples from this date exist, and now we must talk about one of the most underrated but extremely valuable categories, wrong die or mule errors, where the obverse die of one coin is paired with the reverse die of another denomination, something that should never happen under proper minting conditions, yet rare mule coins have made history, such as the famous Sacagawea dollar, Washington quarter mule worth hundreds of thousands, so if even one 2023 D penny were accidentally struck with a die from another denomination such as a nickel or dime, it would instantly become one of the most valuable coins ever produced in modern times. And now let's move into die-related errors, beginning with double dies, where the hub impresses the design onto the die twice with slight misalignment, creating doubling effects on letters, dates, or major details. And while minor doubling exists in many years, strong double dies, especially on modern pennies, are extremely rare and incredibly valuable, and if a dramatic double die variety were discovered for the 2023 D penny, especially involving Liberty, the date, the mint mark, or the shield design, collectors would rush to acquire it, driving the value into the millions, and dramatic die clashes are another possibility, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other with no planchet between them, leaving faint or bold outlines of one design onto the opposite side, and a deep die clash on a 2023 D penny. Especially one that creates clearly visible shapes or ghost-like imagery, would become a high-value collector sensation, especially in high grade, but now we must consider one of the most significant modern error categories, plating issues, because modern pennies are made of zinc with a thin copper plating, and when that plating fails, splits, bubbles, peels, or is missing entirely, the results can be visually dramatic and very collectible, and missing plating errors, especially large area or full unplated examples, are extremely valuable, and if a 2023 D penny were struck on an incomplete copper-plated zinc planchet, revealing the silvery zinc underneath, the error could make the coin extremely desirable, and if that missing plating were combined with another major error like off-center striking or double striking, the value could soar, and we must also examine die breaks, cuts, and major cracks, where parts of the die become damaged and transfer raised blobs or lines of metal to the coin, and while minor die cracks are common, massive cuts covering large portions of the rim or design are extremely rare on modern pennies, making them valuable collectibles, especially when dramatic and visually striking, and a 2023 D penny with a full cut on the reverse shield design or over Lincoln's portrait would instantly attract high-end collectors, especially if only 1 or 2 examples are found. And now let's move into the most exciting part of all, compound errors, because when multiple major mistakes happen simultaneously on one coin, the rarity increases exponentially, creating coins that are literally one of a kind, and if a 2023 D penny exhibited an off-center strike combined with a double strike and a die crack, or a brockage combined with missing plating, or a wrong planchet strike combined with die clash, its uniqueness could push its value into the multi-million-dollar range instantly.